Be sure to check out my second channel called Rob Explains. There you can check out videos where I explain things outside of comic books. So what I wanted to do here is have a discussion about DC's Kingdom Come. And what I'm hoping is that by the end of all of this, you'll have an understanding of why this story was written and why so many consider it to be one of the best DC stories ever told. So the story of Kingdom Come actually has its roots in the Marvel Comics story Marvels, written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by Alex Ross. Where Marvel stories usually take place from the perspective of the superhero or supervillain involved, Marvels took place from the perspective of a normal human named Phil Sheldon as he chronicled the actions of superheroes from World War II up until the 1980s. In a 2006 interview with Wizard Entertainment, Alex Ross had stated that during his time working on Marvels, the idea came to him to expand this concept to DC Comics. Following his departure from Marvel in 1996, Alex Ross followed through with this idea alongside writer Mark Waid by introducing the four-part story, Kingdom Come. Like all titles published under the DC Elseworlds banner, Kingdom Come focuses on DC superheroes outside of any previously established continuity and exists as a self-contained story. Following a religious minister named Norman McKay, who was created explicitly for this story, Kingdom Come centers on a world where DC's iconic heroes find themselves wrapped up in a civil war against a new generation of heroes, which brings the world to the brink of complete destruction. So the story of Kingdom Come picks up with Norman McKay as he's reading biblical scripture to a man named Wesley Dodds. As one of DC's older superheroes dating back to 1939, in the normal DC continuity, Wesley Dodds goes by the name of Sandman and has prophetic dreams that allow him to see crimes that criminals will commit before they happen. Armed with a gun that emits a sleeping gas of sorts, Wesley Dodds would subdue criminals and take them in as they were preparing to commit their crime, but before they could act. However, in the Kingdom Come series, Wesley Dodds is dying of old age, but has apocalyptic visions of the world's end. While these visions aren't necessarily clear, what Wesley is able to discern is that this apocalypse will come about as a result of a superhuman civil war. While Wesley attempts to alert Norman of the impending disaster, Norman considers these to be largely due to Wesley experiencing bouts of insanity or hallucinations as a result of being near death. And so as the story continues, Norman gives us an explanation of the world as it exists at the time. And what we're told is that the heroes of old, that is to say Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of DC's top-tier heroes, have basically left. In their place exists a new breed of hero engaging in battles with one another and with villains without any regard for the safety of citizens. As a result, these battles are often violent, ending with massive property destruction and casualties. While the reason behind why these heroes of old are no longer acting is left ambiguous, the backstory is provided when Norman McKay receives a visit from the Spectre. While this is a character that we've never discussed, the Spectre exists as the hand of God in DC Comics, carrying out his will and punishing those who have been judged accordingly. To this end, the Spectre selects Norman McKay to assist in judging the superheroes of Earth to determine who should be allowed to live and who should be allowed to die. Taking us on a journey, the Spectre and Norman McKay reveal that 10 years prior, the Joker had murdered 93 people at the Daily Planet, including Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane. While the Joker was captured by authorities, on the day of his trial he was murdered by a vigilante named Magog. Because of the gruesome nature of the Joker's crime, coupled with society's desire to see justice done, rather than calling for Magog to be held accountable for his act, humanity praised him for what they perceived as a willingness to do what needed to be done. Realizing that humanity seemed to cast aside its desire for justice and instead embrace vigilantism, Superman walked away, leaving the human community to deal with Magog and his undisciplined heroes that were inspired to act in the same vigilante tactics. Furthermore, because Superman was viewed as an icon among so many heroes in the DC universe, individuals like Aquaman, Alan Scott, the Green Lantern of Earth, as well as others abandoned their roles as superheroes and retreated to lives of solitude. However, when a group of heroes and villains engage in a battle on one of the bridges of Metropolis, Superman arrives, having apparently abandoned his solitude and returned to restore order to the world. From here, the story temporarily shifts away from the perspective of Norman McKay and focuses on Superman. What we learn is that during the time in which Superman was in solitude, he was approached by Wonder Woman. In an effort to coax Superman back into action, Wonder Woman had him watch newsreels on the effects of damages that had been taking place in Kansas. During a conflict between Parasite and Magog along with his forces, Magog had expressed an unnecessary amount of violence. The result was that one of the superheroes was effectively ripped open. Due to the fact that his body was composed of a litany of atoms, which basically made him an atomic bomb, this set off a massive explosion and resulted in the complete destruction of Kansas as an entirety, as well as the surrounding states of Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. From here, the story switches back to the present, and with Superman as he begins to rally former heroes together in an effort to confront and end the reign of Magog. While Superman is able to bring together the Flash, Power Girl, Hawkman, Wonder Woman, and others, the one person missing from this lineup, and perhaps the most important piece of the puzzle, is Batman. Visiting Bruce Wayne in what's left of Wayne Manor, Bruce reveals that the mansion was attacked by the combined efforts of Two-Face and Bane following Superman's departure and the implementation of lawlessness in the United States. In addition, Arkham Asylum, Blackgate Prison, and Bella Reef Prison were all destroyed, with its inmates either escaping or being killed in the process. While Superman attempts to enlist the aid of Batman, Bruce Wayne states that he has no intention of joining Superman. The reason for this is because the superhuman population exploded after Superman left. Rather than staying on and being a role model for these new heroes in order to teach them the manner in which they should operate and to confront foes and preserve order, Superman allowed them to become feral, with no true understanding of what it means to be heroes. Furthermore, Batman argues that Superman's position will only incite more violence because he is effectively imposing his will on other heroes. And so rather than taking a stance of physical force, Batman suggests that Superman take a more diplomatic role. And so with both sides at a complete stalemate, Superman departs, and following this, Batman reveals that Oliver Queen, Black Canary, and others exist as a sort of team serving the purpose of providing Batman with information on the world outside of Gotham. At this point, the story begins to spiral out of control. While Superman makes his efforts to acquire as many heroes as possible, Batman does the same. Operating as opposing forces, Superman's approach of attempting to force heroes to join the Justice League results in massive rebellions and several battles. Placing those who refuse to convert into a prison established in the middle of Kansas, Superman finds that there are actually more prisoners than there are free heroes on the planet Earth. Conversely, Batman allies himself with Lex Luthor, forming a coalition to mass-produce robots that are capable of fighting these superheroes and quell all superhuman activity on Earth. And so the conflict between the two groups, both Batman and Superman as well as humanity and supervillains, comes to a head when a riot breaks out at the Kansas prison. With superhumans fighting one another and with minimal protection, the Justice League rallies in an effort to stop the riot and restore order. However, woefully outmatched by sheer numbers, Superman's attempts to do what he can is met with the arrival of Shazam. Transitioning back to Norman McKay and Spectre, we get this incredible dialogue as Norman watches the massive battle unfold with all parties involved. Realizing that this could very well mean the end of the world, Norman describes its scene in incredible detail. Analyzing Superman's predicament and discussing his confusion on how things could have gotten this bad, what Norman realizes is that despite Superman's vast powers and the conflict and desire to bring order to the world, Superman failed to realize that leadership is just as much about diplomacy as it is about physical force. The new generation of heroes founded under Magog aren't a group that are inherently evil, and instead, they're simply undisciplined. Raised in a world that was unable to differentiate between justice and vigilantism, the new breed of heroes were simply emulating the actions of the only true role model they had. And so with Batman's forces joining the fray and the line between hero and vigilante becoming ever blurred, in their panic, humanity launches a nuclear warhead at the battle site. At this point, we transition to the Spectre. Presenting one of the best questions in the entire story, the Spectre instructs Norman to choose who will be judged. If the bomb is stopped by Superman, the superhumans will live, but their existence will lead to a war that will destroy the Earth eventually. However, if the bomb is not stopped, humanity will survive, but superheroes will be wiped out in their entirety. While either choice will present a genocide, the Spectre tells Norman McKay to choose who is responsible for this entire situation, humanity or the superhumans. Now what I want to do is I want to take a break away from the story for a second, and the reason why is because I think this is one of the most important moments in the story, because an argument can be made on both sides. While this is a battle of superhumans, and Superman could have taken a different approach that would have prevented this from happening, at the same time, humanity chose to ally itself with a vigilante, failing to notice that Magog's actions weren't a willingness to do what needed to be done in support of humanity, but instead, they were done in spite of humanity. Now jumping back into things, the sentiment of Norman McKay is further expanded on when Superman stops the battle between himself and Shazam. Realizing that the nuclear blast will kill all those present save for only a handful of individuals, the Superman instructs Shazam to make a decision. Because Shazam's human alter ego is Billy Batson, allowing him to live as both superhuman and normal human, either Shazam can stop Superman and allow the bomb to drop, or Shazam can allow Superman to stop the bomb. Choosing a third option, Shazam incapacitates Superman, intercepts the bomb, and detonates it, killing himself in the process. And so in the ensuing destruction and believing himself to be the sole survivor, Superman travels to the United Nations bent on revenge and punishing humanity for their decision to kill so many people. Pleading with the Spectre to take him to intervene, Norman McKay arrives and talks Superman down, stating that Superman allowed his grief over the death of Lois Lane and humanity's willingness to cast out justice to basically drive him away. And somewhere along the line, Superman forgot that more important than any hero or human is the sanctity of life. Realizing the value in Norman's words, Superman relents. And so as the story begins to come to a close, Superman states that where previously they had operated in a manner that imposed their will on humanity, instead they will simply lead humanity in the hopes that this new era will create a lasting peace on the planet Earth. So following its release, Kingdom Come was met with universal acclaim. Praised for its artwork and philosophical look at the traditional role of superheroes, Kingdom Come is considered one of the greatest DC stories of all time. In a review published in 2013, the Comics Authority points out that the beauty of Kingdom Come is that it points to everything that's both amazing and complicated about the DC universe. In praising Mark Waid's lattice work of intermingling plots and presenting a confrontation between Batman and Superman composed of ideals rather than physical battles, the Comics Authority sums up the story quite well in stating that Kingdom Come presents a series of events reminding Earth's heroes that their responsibility is not to protect humans or engage in self-gratification, it's simply to inspire hope. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.